and I said out loud, "Your testosterone is polluting our air." Hi everyone, welcome back. My tripod is broken, so I'm standing instead of sitting because it can't tilt, and I'm fighting against the sunset, so excuse me if this seems rushed or if I move around a lot. When I stand, I tend to talk with my hands. Anyway, this past week, I have been getting a lot of questions regarding male presence at Ewha Women's University, meaning if boys can attend, if a lot of students are boys, how many boys are actually on campus. And it's actually the most questions I've ever gotten about boys at Ewha, and they're very relevant and very valid questions. So this week, I just thought I would take those questions and elaborate further because I did answer those questions in the comments, but then I realized there was a lot more to it. So I'm just gonna go through what kind of boys are on Ewha's campus, and disclaimer, there are a lot of boys at Ewha Women's University's campus, but there are 4 main reasons why, and I'll get into them now. The first reason, of course, will be that there are male students. Now, there are not many undergraduate male students, simply because it is Ewha Women's University, and so there are some rules. The first being you may not graduate from Ewha Women's University as a man. The second being that you may not be admitted as a full-time undergraduate in a program that graduates. So basically, you're not allowed to graduate and you're not allowed to be in a full-time program. So I actually looked it up, and there's some statistic floating around. I'll put the website, link it down below, that there are about 21,000 women and about 10 men. 10 men. So where does the big male presence come from? Well, with the students, even though the full-time undergraduate are incredibly majority female, 30% of the international students are male. I did mention in some of my comments that I felt like while I was there, 30% of the other international students were boys, and I looked it up, and that is roughly a correct number. Every semester, about 30% of the international students are men. Now, why would men choose to study at an all-girls school? Several reasons. I knew a couple people who were just really interested in Korean culture, so they wanted to study abroad in Korea, but Ewha was simply the only university that their home school offered to them. The second reason was they were interested in the culture of Korea because of friends or significant others back home. I knew someone from the Middle East who had a Korean girlfriend, and it seemed to be a very long-term relationship. They were very serious. So the way I looked at it was he was in Korea probably because he wanted to get to know the culture so he could go home and maybe relate better to her or her parents, her family. A very select few went to Ewha Women's University just because it was a women's university and they were like, girls, this is great. But that was not overwhelmingly the case. I would say the majority of the time it is because they just wanted to go to Korea and Ewha was the only place that their school offered. I will speak to this, a lot of the men I met were incredibly sweet and fair and like really kind people. One of them like brought us candy all the time, and another was like very well known, very social, like all around campus. They are great guys. You should not be concerned at all that there are male students. They do live in the same dorm as you, so they can be accepted into the international dorms. My neighbors to the immediate right were 2 boys from Germany, but I never saw them. I mean, everyone has their own social life. It's fine. It's completely 100% safe. The buildings are monitored. There are cameras. There are security guards. Boys are not allowed into the building that don't live there, however, so you don't ever need to worry about a man being in the building that doesn't already live there and shouldn't belong there. My battery just died too, so. Moving on, so 30% of the international students are men, and there are like 10 normal undergraduate men. The second kind of boy you will see on campus is a professor / coworker. Actually, one of my favorite professors that I had in Korea was my religion in Korea professor. He was a man, and he was hysterical. He was very respectful. There's no like weird presence, like it's not like something very taboo that they're there. But in addition to professors are professional co-workers. There is a cafe located, well, there's multiple cafes located on Ewha's campus, but the museum cafe, it's located very close to the front entrance of the school. And a lot of the times I saw professors or young professionals sitting and talking with other young professionals. Ewha is a very important school. It's very likely that they're doing business, but there are a lot of men in business suits that seem to be very involved with the professors and academia. Even though they're talking and discussing and collaborating maybe with these professors, it might be outside work. Like maybe they're working on research together or something along the lines of that. Just they're there and they're a presence on campus, but they're not going to be in your classroom. But the third thing where you might actually see men more in the buildings, in the classrooms, are that there are a lot of clubs in Korea that are multi-school. So I was part of a club called Sayul, which I highly recommend. I'll be doing a video in the future, Peace Buddies, which if you're applying to Ewha, you should know what Peace Buddies are. Peace Buddies versus Sayul, which club is better for what, and which one you should join. You should join both. Anyway, I was part of Sayul Sinchang Group 3, which means it was mostly Ewha and Yonsei, but a couple other universities. But it is very common for Ewha to have clubs that also incorporate the chapter from Yonsei, since it's right across the street. It's also very common to see them advertising for ROTC or to join the army or military, since it is open to females now. Women can join the military. So ROTC groups may come to campus to advertise, and they might have rifle shows, and that's where you would see some men. But the presence of clubs and Yonsei then brings me to my fourth and probably biggest reason for why you will see a lot of men on campus, and that is Korea's couple culture. It's very real, and it's very out there. So basically, Yonsei is right across the street, and Yonsei has some of the best and brightest men in the country, and Ewha has some of the best and brightest women in the country. And as some of you may have noticed in my day in the life video from Monday, as I was walking to my one building, there was a gate that led to the street. Directly across the street from that gate was Yonsei. So they come over very easily. They mix a lot. When you go out into Sinchon at night, a lot of places where you go drinking and stuff, it's a very, very big mix of Ewha and Yonsei and a couple other universities, but it's mostly those two. So there is a lot of mixing, and what happens is that they date each other a lot. So men from Yonsei, girls from Ewha, they link up together a lot. They're living and studying in the same area, and they're very accessible to each other. The boy will come from his school, or if he doesn't go to Yonsei, but he's able to, he'll take the subway to Ewha and walk the girl to her class or sit and eat lunch with his girlfriend. I saw a lot of girls sitting at picnic tables having lunch with their boyfriends. It was very, very cute, very sweet. It's not overly like gross, cutesy kind of thing. It's not uncommon to see a boy and a girl walking around campus holding hands, but the boys do come to hang out with their girlfriends at school, and some come just to scope out girls. Top from Big Bang has actually said that he has gone to Ewha and sat in like chairs very inconspicuously to like scope out future wives. There is kind of a fifth thing, but it's not very specific to men, and that is Ewha is a huge tourist destination. So you'll see a lot of Chinese tourists, as well as I saw some Arab tourists, a couple European tourists, and I don't know, boys come in those tour groups. Even native Koreans come to Ewha just to visit. It's known very much for its architecture. It's a fantastic school. It's a beautiful walk. They have beautiful gardens. So it's just a place where a lot of people go. But just to recap, male presence at Ewha is very strong, and it is because 30% of international students are men. A good amount of professors and professional associates are male. A lot of clubs have chapters where they join up together. And fourth being couple culture and how real it is for boys and girls to link up and not show off, but just be as coupley as they can, I guess. I don't know, I did see a couple matching outfits on campus. So that sums up the video and why if you go to Ewha, you might see a lot of boys, even though not a lot of boys at all are accepted as full-time students. I think a couple of times I walked through the gates and just saw lots of boys, and I said out loud, your testosterone is polluting our air. But it's no reason not to go to Ewha. My classes were like 90% women. My one Korean language class was maybe, actually, yeah, 30% boys, 70% women, but that was an all international classroom. A lot of your classes will be with native Korean students, so that will mean they will be women. So in class, you'll be with girls. In your dorm, you will most likely be with only girls or only a few rooms of guys. Your professors will mostly be girls. I only had one that was a boy, but it's just mostly when you're out and walking around that you'll see men. And you know, Ewha is a public space. You don't need to swipe a card to get in through the front gates. You don't need to present any form of ID. Anyone can walk onto campus. It's incredibly safe, incredibly secure. They actually close the gates at 10, and boys are no longer allowed to be on campus or go in and out of the gate after that time. I hope that really addresses some of your concerns or questions dealing with male presence at Ewha Women's University. And thank you guys so much for watching. Next week I'll come back with a non-Korea related video. In 2 weeks I'll have another probably Ewha related video. And enjoy your fall. Clearly it's already cold where I am because I'm in a sweater. I'm also wearing fairly dark makeup today, so sorry if that scared anyone. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!